China's aviation sector is expanding fast and is projected to become the world's largest market by 2030. Passenger numbers have overtaken pre-pandemic levels, with 810 million journeys forecast in 2026, driven by strong domestic demand. Last month, China Eastern Airlines agreed to buy more than 100 A320neo aircraft from Airbus in a deal worth some $16 billion. It was the airline's second big order with the European company since December. And Shandong Airlines, a subsidiary of China's flagship carrier, Air China, announced plans to lease 10 Boeing 737 aircraft to upgrade its ageing fleet. Now, last year, China Southern Airlines earnings were back in the black for the first time since 2019, reporting net profit of more than $120 million. Well, Anita Mendiratta is Special Advisor to the Secretary-General of UN Tourism. Lovely to have you on Global Business Europe again. Let's start with the China Eastern's $16 billion Airbus order. How significant is this deal in the context of global aviation today?
Juliet, thank you very much for having me back. It is incredibly significant for many reasons. First and foremost, when we talk about China being the world's largest aviation market, it's not only in aircraft, it's in airports and in passengers as well. Huge domestic activity, as you said, as well as international. But why this is so important going forward is that it's not only about the aircraft and it being with Airbus in terms of China Eastern, it's the nature of aircraft engineering, because this is very much about sustainable aviation. This is all very much focused on Airbus's Neo, which is very much focused on short and medium-term flights, but the degree of impact that it has environmentally is much less than traditional aircraft engineering. So this is a really good thing for not only aviation growth, but sustainable aviation growth in China and around the world.
But why is China one of the few markets still ordering aircraft at scale, despite geopolitical tensions, high fuel prices and ongoing supply chain disruptions?
It's almost because of all of those three factors. China looks at the long-term development of the nation. So they're looking 20 years onto the horizon, knowing that in the short term, we know that both Airbus and Boeing have delivery issues, yes, but COMAC is coming onto the horizon as well. So what China is doing is really insulating its future growth economically, socially, and even politically by aligning with partners like Airbus, which is a European alliance. So this is the ultimate aviation soft power, being able to protect travel, trade, and international relationships for the long term.
What's it going to mean for European airlines, European manufacturers, and their supply chains?
This is a very good thing, because it's not only moving manufacturing and rather the orders to China, but there's also manufacturing shifts. So, for instance, Airbus has moved some of its manufacturing into China. Likewise, supply chains. So it's much more control over the primary aircraft as well as the components that go into it, which have been a significant reason for many of the delays of deliveries in the last 1,000 days, for instance, around the world. So China is really protecting its tourism growth and its trade growth, which is vital to the economy of China. And once again, this is about domestic and international.
You talk about the economy of China, but I wonder, beyond aviation, Anita, could this shift in aircraft orders maybe be one of the clearest signals of the eastward pivot of global economic power?
Without question, because we see that there's enormous amount of trade activity moving towards the east, but more importantly, this is about bilateral agreements, nation to nation, looking for win-win solutions to be able to really get stability and security of growth, rather than having to work short-term and deal with issues of tariff threats, geopolitical conflict. So there is an eastern pivot. Also importantly, we've seen since the beginning of March the challenge when there is international aircraft disruption and air corridor disruption. With the Middle East, which is 30% of global air corridor movement from west to east, east to west, especially with travel, there's a natural pivot towards China, and the Chinese airlines are able to actually work through Russian airspace. So that's keeping global travel and trade moving when other corridors are being locked, which would normally go directly west.
Always great talking to you. Thank you for your insight, Anita Mendiratta.
Thank you, Juliet.